What's going on, awesome people? I am so excited. Can you hear it in my voice? There's excitement, there's nervousness to finally being back and having the Awesome People series back in action. It's truly a great pleasure to be here again. I really don't even remember the last time I had an IG live. I think it must have been like several months, and I owe it to a group of friends, and I'll credit them later on at the end of the program for being such an integral part of us restarting this thing and making sure that there's a program that is dedicated in English to uplifting and spotlighting some of the most awesome Iranians around the world. And today's guest is definitely one of those individuals, and I'm so happy that he's made time, and it's one of my longtime friends, the talented, the comedian, the actor, the always entertaining Tehran Ghasri, Tehran So Parvaz, Tehran Ghasri. He's got a lot of names and a lot of personalities, but a heart of gold and a dear friend of mine of a long time. And so I was like, you know what? If I'm going to restart Awesome People, I want to restart it with the person that I had as my first guest when I started Awesome People back in 2020 during the pandemic. So I feel like we're going full circle, and I'm grateful for Tehran. I'm grateful for the co-producers of this series. Yes, even an IG live series has a group of producers because there's a lot of work that goes in the background if you want to do something that is organized, that's structured, that's professional. And so thank you to everybody that has been a part of it. Thank you for those of you who are joining. Thank you for those of you who are going to watch this later on YouTube. If you're Iranian, I want you to know that this is your program, an opportunity for you to continue to let us know who are the most awesome people in, or at least awesome Iranians in your eyes, so that you can always recommend them and tell us why you think they're awesome, so that hopefully we can give them a platform. It is honestly my hope that one day I can come on here every single day, and every single day we have conversations with great Iranians, especially Iranians from all spectrum of backgrounds, whether it's from different parts of Iran, whether it's political ideologies, whether it's personal preferences of who you love, what you believe in. It doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in one world, and there's 8 billion of us last time I counted. I think I might be off by 1 or 2. But the point is that there's no doubt that there's a lot of differences between us. But if we keep on focusing on the differences, then we're never really going to be united. And my hope is that we can always just respect, listen, and appreciate the other side, and at least have an interest in listening to the other side, and hope to get some clarification on different perspectives, because we all have different upbringings, and as a result of the different upbringings, and God knows if you're an Iranian, you are either a child or a person who's gone through the revolution. And so as a result, we have been dealing with a lot of different generational traumas, a lot of things that have displaced us from our motherland. And as a result, there's just been like a domino effect of things that have impacted us. But we're still standing, and we have an opportunity as Iranians all around the world to do whatever that we can to try to work together and try to respect each other, to try to love each other, and try to find common grounds. We have a lot more in common than we have different. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to have Tehran back is because, as somebody who has seen him for the last 20 years go from just a local guy from the DC area who was known for being half black, half Iranian, to now being one of the most successful Iranian comedians on the planet, is because I have seen how he has been able to truly see the best in everybody, no matter their background. He's been extremely consistent, one of the most neutral people that I've ever met in my entire life. And so I just felt like he's just the right person to start off this. But I want everybody who's watching to kind of like be on team unity, be on team like, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to spend a little bit more time before casting stones. Maybe we need to be a little bit more understanding and have a little bit more grace. And so that's what I'm really hoping that these conversations will do for our community, because our community is definitely fractured, both Iranian and also just if you're in America, you're dealing with the politics of the elections coming up. So a lot of things to look at for division, but I would like to put the spotlight on unity. I would like to put the spotlight on a lot of love and patience and kindness. So I'm hoping that Tehran will join in. As usual, he didn't follow instructions to request to join, so I can just click the button right here. So in the meantime, I would love to just kind of ask you guys, where are you watching from? I would love to kind of get to know you guys better. So feel free to drop in some of the things that will let me know where you're actually joining in from. In the meantime, I'm going to ping Tehran. This guy, man, I swear to God. Honestly, this is actually so quintessential Tehran. Being late is like kind of like one of his specialties. So I'm not at all surprised that he's fashionably late, even though I pinged him like 10 minutes ago. So I see here Surush from New York and Sheila from Baltimore. Of course, I see Radojun. I love it. Appreciate you guys joining. In case you guys don't know, I'm originally from the DMV area, so I definitely want to give a shout out to anybody in the DC area. I spent 30 years in the beautiful DMV, so glad to have a little bit of representation from Baltimore. I actually lived in Baltimore for a year. All right, well, so Tehran is still kind of like taking a sweet little time, and so as a result, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys a couple of other things that we're working on. So in case you're in South Florida, we've been starting a series called Salomati, which is like a happy hour where it's kind of like more than a networking event, but not like a Bizana Baku party. It's somewhere right in between, so you can have like the little networking elements so Iranians can get to know each other. And then if you want to stay longer, there's great music and DJing. And so the Salomati concept has been great in South Florida. I look forward to bringing it to different areas around the country and hopefully the world. And it'll only happen if we build this community together. So just look out for Salomati, and if you think that Salomati has a place in your town, message me. All right, guys, here's Tehran. The man is always late, and so we're going to go ahead. 3, 2, 1. There he
Yo,
is. What's up? What's up, Tehran?
what do you mean I'm late? I'm perfectly on
I
time. You said
know.
7 o'clock. You said 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'm on the West Coast. So when you
Of
multiply
course.
and then
Of
you
course.
subtract,
Of course.
honestly, time is racism. I just want to let you know. So anyone who's on time is not, you're a bad person. I just want to let everyone know.
You know, I don't know if you were watching or not, but I told people, I was like, you know what, this is so Tehran to not be on time. So I was expecting it. I have some notes to talk about until you make your fashionable entrance. So
That's
welcome
how
to
it
the awesome
works.
people.
What's going on? Thank you for having me.
Good, man.
Awesome People show with Iman. Iman and I go back, way back. We have a long history. We used to do the best events in DC, period. There was a time, listen, our Warner Theater parties, hands down, best parties that have ever happened in the entire Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. In fact, some of the kids right now that are listening, the ones that are listening, I think you're like maybe like 8 to 10 years old now. You exist because we had our party. Like
I,
that's the only reason you exist. We had parties and now you were born. So that's
Yeah,
how it
man, dude.
works.
I swear to God, the ones that Warner Theater where there was a wraparound of line. Remember that one time where like we had to keep on going and out, and that line just would not stop. That was a humbling
Exactly.
experience, man. That was awesome.
There was a line to get to 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 the elevator to get to the line to go to the party, and they were all so much more fun. Shout out to Faye, my good friend, who's saying she's 8 years old. Faye, I hope you're not 8 years old. That'd be very awkward. Sadaf is on. Tehran, and from Sharon. Um, I've always asked, people named Shervin spell their names with a W when it comes to why. You're not Sherwin, you're Shervin. We
There,
have
there,
a V in Farsi. They don't have one in Arabic like they use the wa sound. We say Vav, like we say the V. So own that, Shervin. I appreciate you. Serena997, my Persian half brother. I love that. Welcome back, everybody. So what's going on?
there's only one reason why a Shervin should spell a W, and that's if they've been in Germany. In Germany, it's like the W and the V. That kind of makes sense. But if you're outside of Germany,
Volkswagen. Volkswagen.
there you go. Um, so Teron, I don't know if you remember or not, but like I love how we're going full circle with the restart of Awesome People and You, because in the middle of the pandemic, I decided to start the Awesome People podcast, and I was like, Teron, let's start it together. And so you were my first guest on that Awesome People back then, and here we are again, almost like 4 years later. So tell me a little bit about like the state of comedy in the last 4 years and how it has like evolved. Primarily, I feel like in the last few years there was something called cancel culture, if you recall, and I feel like we've kind of evolved past that. And I want to get your take as a comedian, because I feel like comedians, they really had to kind of like um, be very cautious and kind of like, on their heels, And so tell me about cancel culture and how it has hopefully evolved in the past few years.
So if I'm going to be very real, honestly, we all are aware of cancel culture. You see people saying things or joking about something and getting in trouble for it. But the truth of the matter is, on one hand, for comedy, it's a lot of eggshells. People are very careful. People are very sensitive. People are easily offended. So you're mindful of them being offended. But on the other side, it's also a wonderful time in comedy because you're coming up with better content. You're not punching down or just joking about the low-hanging fruit anymore. You're having to be more creative and be more aware and realize that the world is a much smaller place than you thought originally. There's also an understanding that no comedian has actually ever been canceled for a joke. And what I mean by that is this. When people say, who's the comedian that got in trouble?
The guy from Seinfeld, no?
Well, that's the thing. So the guy from Seinfeld. So I'm a Laugh Factory comedian. That's one of my main places I do comedy, and I have a show there every single Thursday night. When
you gotta go to it, everyone.
Yeah, it's a great show. So when he was on stage, he just went full racist. What his problem was that he just wasn't funny. He didn't even do anything funny. That's being mean is not funny. Saying negative things about someone without having a humorous spin to it is not funny. So what he did, what Michael Richardson did on stage, was just unfortunate, and it was actually disrespectful and disgusting. So he just went off the rails and just started saying mean, racist things towards someone. But his biggest crime was that he just wasn't funny. He didn't say anything funny. So when you look at comedians like, let's say, Kevin Hart, there was a time where Kevin Hart was not allowed to host the Oscars because of some jokes that he had made 10 years prior. But here's the thing we need to remember. Kevin Hart was not allowed to host the Oscars because the Oscars is not a platform for comedy. That's not what the Oscars is. Kevin Hart, the comedian, didn't get canceled. Kevin Hart, the Disney and Jumanji and the Kevin Hart, the brand who has surpassed comedy, got canceled. But as a comedian, Kevin Hart can walk into any bar right now, can go to any open mic, he can go to any comedy club, get up on stage and perform. So there's a fine line between what a comedian is. If you choose to be the comedian that's a public brand, if you choose to be the comedian that brands yourself a certain way, then you're going to have to be a lot more careful. But we also see comedians like Andrew Schultz. We see comedians like Ryan Davis. We see comedians like Nate Jackson. We see comedians like Wanda Sykes. They're taking on topics and things that are big, and they're doing it in a creative way. Sometimes they're going overboard. Sometimes they're saying things that are so absurd because that's the point of comedy. So it all depends on who you are. Me, personally, I'm a comedian. I'm not a caterer. I don't cater to my crowd. I comedian for my crowd. So I present the truth as I see it. And if you don't like it, I actually invented a specific technology for the people who come to my shows and get offended. It's called exit signs. You can get the F out. So you can just leave. You can, if you don't like it, you can leave. But that's the truth of comedy. And just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. But on the flip side, as a comedian, just because you're offensive, it doesn't mean you're funny. There's a fine line in between, and that is where real comedy stays.
Has there ever been, and let's try to be as truthful as possible, you've been in comedy, is it almost 20 years now? 15 years? How many years has it been?
So I've been doing comedy about almost 15 years, just give or take. From the first time that I got on stage because of Maximini, to the second time because of Maserati, to the third time because of Dave Chappelle, until the fourth time I got the bug and I would just go on stage and it became my profession.
So 15 years, like anyone's ever gone on stage, there's definitely, and you have a power of a mic. A microphone is a powerful thing to have, whether it's 10 people or 10,000 people. In 15 years, you've been on hundreds of stages in front of tens of thousands of people. Do you recall a time where you kind of said something off the cuff, because sometimes you kind of go in with the set, you know what you're going to talk about, but maybe you're having like a little interaction with a heckler. Has there ever been a moment where you said something where you're like, shit, I should not have said that.
Iman, you know me so
Yeah,
well. You
the
should
answer is
know
no.
of all people, there's never a time I say something that I'm like, shit, I should not.
I
It
know.
doesn't mean I
I
should
know.
not have said it. I probably should not have said it, but I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like there's a time that I've never said something. Because here's the one thing about me. If I say it, I mean it. And if I mean it, I say it. That is how it works for me. No one ever has to guess where they stand with me. I've always been a person who makes makes my own rules, makes my own regulations for myself. So there's
You know,
nothing for me.
it,
But
it's
I
it's
can
so funny.
understand that.
It's so funny. As I was asking the question, I was laughing inside because I knew the answer. I was like, why am I even asking this question? But I felt like, let others know that you've been as real as it gets, as unapologetic as it gets for last, well, 15 years on stage, but I feel like
No.
I've known you for at least 20 years. And honestly, dude, and I think I said it earlier before you were fashionably late, is that that's really what I've always appreciated about you, is that you've been one of the most genuine, authentic individuals that I could ever have around me, where you would always keep it real, and you're the same person on stage that you are off. And that is a true comedian. A true comedian, it doesn't, they can't possibly fake what they're talking about. You are, not everybody might agree with you, but you can be yourself, and some people will agree or not agree. Some people might find it offensive, but it doesn't matter, because at least it is you who you are, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing about it. I wish more people were genuine. And I'm not saying I'm the best person. I'm not by far. But at least you know it's always me. It's always Tehran, Tehran. So
Uh,
you always get the real Tehran. And I try to bring that to no matter what crowds I get to. Because now there was a time where my crowd was a lot more it was a lot more, for example, a lot more Iranians and Persians in my crowd. And now, thankfully, my crowd has grown, my audience has grown, and it's a lot more diverse. And I bring all the crowds together in one place. So I never want to just bring just one side of who I am. I want to bring all the multiple layers of who I am as a person, all the craziness, all the outrageousness, all the random things that I am, and bring them all in one place and allow the audience to decide and judge. And hopefully they have fun with me.
so tell me, actually, how has that evolution been for you as a comedian? Because obviously the base of your comedic career started with the Iranian demographic, you know? So kind of tell me, now that you've kind of expanded to the non-Iranians, how has that been? Did that serve as more of a challenge for you, that you welcome? You're like, hell yeah, now I can really fly. Now I can really test shit out. And, I can kind of get out of a little box where I was just the half Iranian, half black. You know what I mean? Like, kind of
Yeah,
tell me about
of
how in the
course.
last few years it has evolved for you.
Well, before I get to that, I do want to say thank you to Sadaf for showing so much love. Sadaf Sadari. Uh, Maria Tehrani's on. Hi, Maria Jun Khubi. I hope everything's good. Little Wheezy Airfon telling people they can't be me. Telling Faye, letting Faye know we miss you here in Los Angeles, Faye. Everybody's in the chat. Shide, hi. I appreciate you. Thank you for being with me from the beginning and always being a supportive person. Hilda, you are both great. You both are great. I don't know if we're both great. I'm great. Iman's here. It's okay. Let's not say we're the same. We're not the same, but it's okay. I understand. In Farsi, we have this thing called rudarwasi. That's when you just get into a situation where you kind of have to do something. It's like, it's not what you want to do or say, but you say it and do it because you feel like it's more politically correct and
All right.
proper. So,
Hafiz Sadiq.
and
Okay, bye. Come on, continue.
Sela. Oh, and I do want to give a big shout out to Sela and the entire crew, Mary, and everybody who was part of our Masa Mini room that we held on Clubhouse. We came off the 2-year anniversary of that unfortunate event, and they were there from the beginning, putting things together and holding that room down and being a part of history, bringing people together on Clubhouse inside and outside of Iran. So thank you so much all for being there. So as far as your question, how does it feel to grow outside of just one fan base to basically becoming much more international, having any type of fan base, having an American group? And that's the thing. Iman, you know me, I'm half Iranian, half black. And so I've always had like these two cultures. I was always a bridge between the cultures, bringing people together. But more importantly, my comedy does the same thing. And it's not just about being half Iranian and half black. It's about being half immigrant and half American, bringing those cultures together. It's about circles of groups of people who may not usually be in the same room, now finding each other and realizing we have a lot more in common than we have different. So the reason for the growth isn't just for my personal growth. It's also because the relatability of people relating to me and more importantly through me has grown. And while, yes, something may be funny for an Iranian person, you do realize it's also funny for an Arab person or a Turkish person or a Nigerian person or a Chinese person and then a Greek person. And it keeps growing because we're all so much more common. We all have so much more in common than we have different at any given time. And most importantly, we all go through a lot of things like love, dating, money. Things like this are international. There is no one religion or one race or one person that goes through this. Everybody goes through having hardships, finding someone, dating. Everyone has hardships. Being broke sucks for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. So all those things are always items and topics that I talk about and hopefully bring laughter and humor and smiles to people's faces.
What are the biggest differences between performing for an Iranian audience versus like other parts of the world?
There's always cultural norms, like things that are specific to cultures, especially in the Iranian culture, that may not translate. We have words in Farsi that you can't even say in English. There's no way. How do you explain someone naz nakon? Like, how do you even explain that? How do you explain someone tarof? Like, you can use a lot of sentences, but they don't have one word that just says, this is what it is. So for some of you who don't know, tarof is when people offer you something so much that you don't want until you die. They keep offering it to you over and over and over again, even though they don't want to offer it to you, and you accept it even though you don't want to take it. That's why the word tarof and terrorism sounds alike. They actually are the root word. It's a form of terrorism, people. Don't let someone tarof and hijack your life, okay? Don't let them tarof nakon. Or like Nas, this feeling, but it's also an attitude. It's being coy. It's being playfully shy, but also annoyingly shy at the same time. Like, there's these things. And so when you're performing for an Iranian audience, they understand these things. And then you have to be able to translate that to every audience that you can. But the ideas are all the same. So let me explain. No one ever thinks it's random if you're with an Asian person or a Caucasian person listening to Bad Bunny. Even though they don't speak Spanish, they might not speak Spanish, they're listening to reggaeton. So why not that for Iranian entertainers? Why not that for Iranian comedy? Why can't we have the same thing, the same crossover? They can relate to it too. Everyone can relate to Gasolina. Everyone can relate to Bad Bunny. So that's the idea, is now we're becoming a new generation where we're Bad Bunny for the Iranian culture. And we're bringing it. I am mixed, but most of the kids, including yourself, you might have both parents be Iranian, but you're mixed just like me. You are a mix of two cultures, Iranian and American, and you actually are a mix of three because you're Iranian, American, and German. And so you have that mix of everything. I think this is Hawaiian, but it doesn't matter. The idea is you have this mix of people who you are. And the world is getting more mixed every single day. So the next generation is going to keep going and growing and be more mixed and just understand each other way more.
So I think we can both agree that a lot of Iranians they're very, very hard to please. But you've been a fan favorite for a long time, and I'm curious, what do you feel that you've been doing right all these years?
I don't know what I've been doing right, but I know exactly what I do wrong, and it's be my authentic self. I'm always just me. And that has been my greatest strength and my biggest weakness, is just always being myself, being Tehran, representing Tehran everywhere I go, owning it. Just, people always think it's a nickname. It's not a nickname. It's my real name. It's a responsibility I've had on my back since I was born. And so that's the my biggest strength that I give is just being Tehran all the time. So you get to choose whether you hate it or love it on your own.
Darren,
Shout
when was
out
the
to
last?
hold
Go
on,
ahead.
everybody in the chat because I want to give people their shout outs. Jana Yasong gave 100. I love that for us. Sadaf and Erfan are still coming out through. I appreciate that. Faye is asking, is there a Persian way to say the word wigger? I don't know, Faye. My Farsi's fluent, but not that fluent. I don't know if we have a wigger. We don't even have the N word, really. That's like a very American thing, actually. It's very interesting. And then, of course, we have a lot of hearts and a lot of smiley faces. So I love that. And Ahmet Z. Tusan is showing his Turkish pride. Thank you, Ahmed, for being here. Nasilson. Nasilson.
So I love how you're giving shout outs. I'm going to give a shout out to my sister who wanted to say hi to you. Sogo says hi. She made the Nutella martini for me as well, which I wanted to give a shout out to her. I know
Yeah,
you, I
say
know.
your sister's great. Say hi. Your sister's one of my favorite people. She's always been such a good supporter for you, and she's such a wonderful, amazing, beautiful human being who's always giving back to the community.
I
So
was waiting for a punchline.
no, for your sister, never. For you, yes. For your sister, not once, never. Your sister's so amazing that her kids are amazing.
That's
Okay,
true. That's true.
her kids are
She turned out to be the
artists. They're
bad.
creative. They're creatives. They're artists. They're just amazing people.
Um, so let me ask you now. You mentioned about like all this love for Iranians. You're always into a lot of Iranian poetry and old school poetry. Like you even went to like Iranian like you know you can read and write Persian. I cannot. You can. And I was wondering if you would give our viewers a special treat and share with us one of your favorite poems that you know, because I know you know a lot of Persian poetry, and I think a lot of people here would appreciate and be surprised that you know Persian poetry. Would you mind sharing with us one of your favorite poems?
My favorite Persian poem of all time, and I have a lot of them, is actually by Farrokhzad. It says, "Parvaz ra be khater besapor, parande mordanist," which says, remember the flight, the bird is mortal. And it's an idea, a concept that stays with me all the time. It's enjoy this journey because eventually you are mortal, but the experiences that you have and the experiences that you share with others will live on in the universe forever.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate that. So also sticking to the Iranian theme, just because Awesome People is primarily about Iranians. Um, you know, the last couple of years, as a result of the Woman Life Freedom Revolution or Woman Life Freedom Movement, as well as a lot of things that was happening between politics, I'm sure that you've noticed that even though, like on October, I think it was 2022, we were the most united that I think you and I have ever seen in our entire life. You know, just seeing so many Iranians march the streets and like it was really the closest that we've seen to a potentially free Iran, which unfortunately, for a multitude of reasons, it kind of like fell apart. What do you recommend to Iranians around the world to hopefully keep us united, keep us as strong as possible? There's a lot of things that we can point to that can easily separate us, divide us. But you've always been a man of the people. You've been somebody that has really seen the good in a lot of people. Like I'm coming from like a witness of having a great friend like you who I've never seen like really talk about division. You've always been the person who's like bringing people together, the diplomat, you know, and that's what I really looking back at all my friends. I really appreciate how much you appreciated everybody, no matter their political beliefs, truly. And even that includes me, who I've gone through my evolution, you know, but you've always been able to respect people. You've always been able to remind people to respect people. So what advice does Tehran have to make sure that Iranians continue to get closer to unity instead of further away?
Actually, Little Weezy Erfan just said it right now. And he said it so well. He said, we have to understand that we all are human beings. And that's the biggest thing is that no matter who you are, what gender, political affiliation, religious affiliation, ethnicity, culture, nationality, sexuality, all these things don't matter. At the end of the day, we are all in the same place. We're all on the same ship. And left wing, right wing, same bird. We all have to learn how to fly together. Now, there are times where people are extremes, and it's unfortunate, and these extremes come from a variety of things. Very rarely does it come from experience. Most of the times they come from hate, fear, feeling of being dismissed, frustration, helplessness. That's where hate really comes from. Hate is something we learn. We all are born knowing how to love, but learning how to hate is something we're taught. And so what I try to do is unteach people how to hate. Let's learn how we have more in common. Let's learn what the best solution is. Let's learn how we can work together. So when it comes to the Iranian diaspora, and it comes to the Iranians inside Iran, I always say, Ettehad, Himayat, pushtabane hamdige bashim. Let's have unity. Let's support one another. Let's be behind one another in order for all of us to grow together. That is the best way we can move forward, not just only as a culture, but as people. There's a saying in Farsi that says, Tu dunya ta'dad adam ziyade, insan ke kame. The idea is that there's a lot of people in the world, but the lack of humanity is what the problem is. That there's a lack of actual human beings. We can all be human beings to one another. Now, don't get it wrong. There are times where there are people who are so extreme, they're outside of the boundary. Those people that are evil, they're a very small percentage of people. Evil people are always the loudest. They always have time. They're always the ones who have time to write a social media comment, and they have things to say, and they have they have things to criticize and things to critique, and they would love to make everyone also evil because it's contagious. If you ever look at your post, you'll post a picture, you'll get 10 comments. Out of your 10 comments, 9 will be people who send you a heart, send you love. But one will be like, Iman, you have an ugly ear. And that's the one we focus on. I don't have an ugly ear, you have an ugly ear. And that's where it starts. It becomes that cycle. No, I only show love to people who show me love. And I even shower people who show me hate with love. I'm never going to let you make me like you. You know? Hate is a poison. It's a poison. And some people think it's a gift. But if I gave you something and you didn't accept it, who does it belong to? Still belongs to the person who gave it to you. Well, that's how I feel about hate. That's how I feel about all the people who have that evil in them. I'm not accepting that. I appreciate it, but no thank you. It's not for me. If you really think about it, we have a short time on earth. Right now, Iman, realistically, you know, you might have like 30 or 40 summers left in your entire life. 30 or 40 summers left in your life. So what are you going to do for those 30 or 40 summers? Worry about the people that are haters? Or go and find yourself, enjoy yourself, and fulfill your destiny?
Tehran, there's a lot of people that may not know you, and so they're hearing all this stuff, and they take it with a grain of salt, and they're like, okay, you know, whatever, he's talking all this stuff about unity and love. But I've known you for about 20 years, and you've been preaching this message for a long time. I'm curious, where did this stem from? Because, again, you've been very consistent, and that is one thing that is very rare. A lot of us, hopefully, we grow into having this type of mindset, which I truly love and respect about you. What do you attribute it to? Because you really had this like from a very young age. Do you have an answer to that?
Honestly, it's just who I am as a person. It's something that's been within me. It's something that I saw with inadvertently in my family life and the world, because I lived in a time before everybody was mixed. Now it feels like everybody's mixed. In fact, all of a sudden, everybody's half black, half Persian. Like everybody's like half black, half Persian. Yara Shahidi's doing it better than me. There's so many people now. You know, the funniest thing is right now, if you had to guess how many half black, half Persian comedians there are 3. There are 3 half black, half Persian comedians. It's me, this guy named Norman, and this guy in Australia they're doing great. They're very funny. And I'm like, wow, that's the world we're coming to, you know?
Wait, hold on. A half black, half Persian called Norman?
Yeah, Norman Sosa, he's in Germany. Norman's in
I
Germany.
mean, Norman is neither a Persian name or a black name. How does he become Norman?
Yo, he becomes Norman.
No,
Only in Germany does
I'm
that happen.
joking. But actually, this is a perfect transition to another topic I wanted to ask you. So, there's obviously in the last few years been a lot more comedians, especially Iranians, that have kind of come up through the social media world, you know. I'm personally wishing him a lot of luck, and I'm sure you do as well. You want everybody to thrive. It's always been part of your DNA. If right now there's an Iranian that is like struggling in AP Bio and like has a dream of becoming a comedian and really following your footsteps, what advice would you give to that Iranian or mix Iranian and black or any Iranian mix high school student? What advice do you have for that guy or girl? Excuse me.
Honestly, it's amazing. I know your parents want you to become doctors and lawyers and engineers, but the truth of the matter is, as a comedian, I know that your parents are right. Become a doctor, lawyer, engineer. Don't become a comedian, okay? This is not the life for you. You only the strong survive here. You're not to be a. You know how many doctors I know that are balling right now, living in Beverly Hills, living their best life, living their best life. Baby, go study your AP Bio. Don't mess up. Keep go. Dream, be dream. Okay? Dream, be khode. مگه بچه خواب ببینی بیدار شو برو سر کار. Okay? Let's get to work, people. No, honestly, when it comes to being to the people who have artistic dreams, I always say that you should definitely follow your dreams and your passion, but don't think that it's easy. Don't think that it's just as simple as being good. You have to be great. You have to push. You have to work harder. You have to do 3 times as much to go a third as far. That's how it works. You have to put in the time, effort, and dedication, discipline that it takes to even get to the beginnings of what might be your destiny. So make sure you realize practice makes perfect. There are no shortcuts. If you're not doing great in AP Bio, well, then you have to make a decision. Is it because you're not doing well in AP Bio, or is it because you're lazy? If it's because you're lazy, then you will never succeed at anything you do. If it's because it's not your passion and there is something is your passion, then you should decide to follow that. But realize your passion without goals, without plans, without expectations, without ideas is just a wish. And wishes don't come true. Goals and ambition do.
Tehran, do you remember the moment that you knew you wanted to be a comedian?
Well, honestly, being half black, half Iranian, Iman, I felt like I've always just had to be a comedian. Like I've always, and you've known me long enough to know I've always had a smart ass answer. It's not that I ever wanted to be a comedian. I didn't know that I wanted to be a comedian. I actually was trying to figure it out. I just knew that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to bring people together. And I realized that the closest thing we have in the modern day to a philosopher or unifier is comedy. Comedy brings people together. When you're a room full of people after a tragedy and everyone's crying, you're still crying alone. But when you're in a room full of people and there's comedy and everybody's laughing, we're all laughing together. And that's the beauty of comedy, at least great comedy.
I'm curious for especially that AP Bio kid right now. What are the biggest challenges that you've faced in your career, and how have you been able to navigate to them? Because maybe that guy who's right now in AP Bio and he's like, comedy is my road. What major pitfall did you encounter that you could perhaps advise them on?
Is Parsa having a hard time in AP Bio right now? Is that what's going on? His
Parsa is
nephew,
10 years removed from
I
AP
know,
Bio in high school.
and he became an artist. He became an artist. When it comes to the kid in AP Bio, what was your question? What were you asking?
I'm just wondering what has been your biggest challenge that you faced in your career and how you navigated towards it. Like, I want to know, like, if there was a major pitfall that another person that's 20 years younger than you trying to go into your career, like they could try to avoid based on your experience.
100%. Let me just say hi. Salam be Persis Banu. Let me say hi to Kata and Farahani. Giving shout outs to Inspire, Zoo, Neda. Hi, Neda, all the way from Oman. And everybody in the chat. Keep the chat alive. And oh shit, it's Christian Tehran for president. Never that, especially the way the world's going now. I'm watching these presidential debates and I'm good. I don't need that in my life. So for the AP Bio kid who wants to be a comedian, for anyone who wants to be a comedian, there's a lot of things that I wish future me and now me would go back and tell young me and past me. And number one is that practice makes perfect. Make sure to get up as much as possible. Find your own voice. Another thing is that it's show business, not just show, which means that it's not just getting to perform. There's a lot of business to it. There's a lot of things that you have to do that you might not do. It's always fun when we watch the NBA game. What we forget is to watch their practices and see how hard they practice in order to get to play even 5 minutes in an NBA game. We forget to watch how they played basketball for free for the first 12 years of their basketball career just to get good enough to get to the NBA, to get those millions of dollars. And we also forget to watch how many people tried to get to the NBA, and only 250 players are in the NBA at any given time. So these are things that we have to remember. Shout out to Shantae Waynes, by the way, who's in the chat, one of the funniest comedians I know, one of the Waynes family. So if you know all the Waynes, Keenan Ivory Waynes, Marlon Waynes, Sean Waynes, Damon Waynes, Shantae Waynes is the new generation and also working so hard. And this is another thing. Shantae is a perfect example of something I was speaking on earlier, where no matter who your family is, when you're on stage, you're by yourself. Your family name and what they are and how they can do does nothing for making people laugh. Shantae's uncles and her cousins are on stage with her when she's on stage. She's putting in the work herself. She's dedicated. I've seen her go through her ups and downs, pushing the boundaries, pushing the barriers, and making things happen for herself. And nobody's giving her handouts. In fact, people aren't even giving her hand ups. She did everything on her own. So congratulations to her and all her success. And I'll never forget Tehran Waynes. That's what's up.
I actually want to give a shout out to the entire Wayans family. I actually watched Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp, Marlon Wayans. Great freaking podcast episode. The Wayans family has really done some incredible work for Hollywood and comedy and just trailblazers, you know. So if we have a family member there, it's a pleasure to meet you virtually. Shout out to your entire family that has done some incredible work for just American comedy. And
they've opened the doors. They've opened the doors. And that's actually something that Shantae has continued on as part of her legacy, because Shantae gives opportunities to a lot of people and is pulling people up with her as she goes up herself. And that's something that is a big part of who I want to be as known as my legacy, is that I've opened the doors. When you go to my shows, they're always diverse, they're inclusive, but not because they have to be, because I want them to be, because I want to open the doors and give people opportunities and chances, because I was lucky enough to have someone open the door and give me opportunity and chances.
Yeah, man, dude. I mean, everyone. I've been to many of your shows throughout the years, and the common denominator is that you make fun of everybody, but you bring everybody together. You know, and that's an incredible gift to have, and it's beautiful. And that's why everybody who leaves a Tehran show, they leave a fan of yours. So speaking of end of show, I want to do a little bit of rapid fire, you know, to kind of just keep you on your heels, okay? And let's see. So we were just kind of talking about, you know, if you don't make it to become a comedian, if you weren't a comedian, what other profession would you pursue?
If I wasn't a comedian, I'm probably homeless. So thankfully, listen, if I wasn't a comedian, it was between Narcos and P. Diddy. So thankfully, I became a comedian.
Hey.
Thankfully, I became a comedian.
There's a lot of people that I would not want to be today, and P. Diddy is one of them after what kind of information came out today. But anyways, what's one thing people don't know about you that might surprise them?
A lot of people don't know that I have never drank alcohol. I've never done drugs. I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never smoked hookah. I've never even drank coffee in my life. It's so funny how many people come and tell me, Tehran, remember last year, remember 5 years ago at that party, you were so drunk and you did this and you did that. And I'm like, I wasn't drunk. I was just bored. I was just bored. Like, I just did something that most people think you have to do when you're drunk or high. And I just did it because I wanted to. Because the biggest thing about my comedy is a lot of people think I'm trying to make them laugh. No, I'm making myself laugh. And if you laugh, then good.
I actually didn't know about the coffee part. That's actually insane, but good for you. What's the craziest fan interaction you've ever had?
Well, I've had my fair share of stalkers. I just watched this show on Netflix called Baby Reindeer, and I was like, whoa, this is very familiar, except for the other parts of Baby Reindeer, not all the parts of Baby Reindeer. I've never actually, Baby Reindeer, if you're not familiar with it, it shows the story of a comedian. His name is Richard Gadd. It's a true story based on his experiences. In the show, he's called Donnie. He just won a ton of Emmys for the show that he wrote based on his own life. But he has a stalker, and then other things happen to him, including he gets in a relationship with a trans woman, and he's also sexually assaulted. He's essayed by a producer, a television producer and writer who was male. I've never been lucky enough for any male producers to even come on to me. No one's given me that chance, like to get up. Like I've never had that even be an option for the way I can move up. So that's never happened. And that stuff has never happened. But the part about having a stalker or having someone that makes you uncomfortable, which is more difficult to make a male uncomfortable than a female. Honestly, a lot of women celebrities go through a lot of things, and a lot of women entertainers who are pushing the boundaries and moving on their art and getting into greatness. I feel for them because unfortunately they go through a lot of things that we should all be a lot more aware. And thankfully, with the videos and the things that are being released, people are able to talk about them now.
What do you love most about being a comedian?
I love making people laugh and have a good time. I love when people leave feeling like they had fun, but they also learned something. Like they feel like a little more aware, a little more intelligent, a little more just in the know culturally or fact-based based on my show. And they also leave feeling good on the inside.
The funny answer would have been women stalkers. Okay. What's the hardest thing about being a comedian?
The hardest part about being a comedian is getting on stage night after night, no matter how you feel. You can be having a bad day, a good day, sad day, glad day, but you have to get on stage and present your truth in a funny way. You have to keep going. And that's the background. We see that there's a picture or in the story of the sad clown. Being a comedian is not being a clown. Being a comedian is in many ways being a teacher and a philosopher and someone who's knowledgeable, some of the most intelligent people on the planet, but they're still there giving you a piece of their soul so that you can walk away with a smile.
Oof, that was so amazing, man. I mean, honestly, one thing that I always admire about comedians, aside from being truth tellers, is truly that right there is the fact that they all carry you guys all carry the same baggage that we do. We have bad days, sad days, depressions, and financial woes, and all these kind of stuff. You are a business, and just like any business, you have your ebbs and flows. You're riding one day and all of a sudden you're tanking, and you got to figure out, you got to pivot. So much love for that answer, man.
Really quick, shout out to Giti Golchin. Said hello, Tehran. Hi, Giti June. Make sure to follow Iman. He does a lot of great things. Little Blackie 23. I know your mom, Zoe Norton. That's one of my favorite people on the planet. Shout out to all of her kids. And she's just this wonderful Australian who had a chance to meet in Los Angeles. And she's just so wonderful. Ida Art is in the building. And my boy, Big Al Art. Great artists who are here. Sir Captain Bardia Mas. There's so much of Bardia that it's Bardia Mas. So there's more of it. I did all of it. Great for you. And Nusha, of course. Thank you so much all for being here. Big T. Hi, Big Nusha. Well, should I say Big Nusha? Or like I'm just calling, she's perfect weighted Nusha. I don't know. Yo, but that's the thing. What were you going to say, Iman Joe?
Since I'm going to continue with the rapid fire, since I know that you're a sneakerhead, what is one career accomplishment that if you accomplished it, you would be comfortable with hanging up your sneakers?
So basically, I would just be done. Honestly, I don't think I'll ever hang up my sneakers. I'll always have this in me. I'll always have this in me. Like, I want to quit every day, by the way. Every single day, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this again. And then I get on stage, and I'm like, this is all I ever want to do. So I couldn't even think of anything.
So,
And I do have a lot of sneakers, by the way. For anyone who knows
you do.
me, I have a lot of sneakers.
What is the most Persian thing about you?
The most Persian thing about me, honestly, is my actual my movement, my hand gestures. Like I'll do Persian hand gestures without. I'll be on the basketball. I'll be like, "That was a foul!" Like, I'm just like, "Yo." Or when people say anything and I say no, I'm like, "No," and I nooch no, and they're like, "What does that mean? Yes or no?" I'm like, "It means no." So a lot of my physical actions and the way I movements are a lot of very Persian.
Your favorite Persian dish?
Khorma sabzi, by far. My favorite food is khorma sabzi. By the way, just to let you know, every question you've asked me, the funny answer would have been women stalkers. I just want to let you know that. Everything you've asked me. Like, what's one thing you would do if you would hang up your sneakers? Women stalkers. What's the best part about being a comedian? Women stalkers. What's the worst part about being a comedian? Women stalkers. What's your favorite Persian dish? Women stalkers. Like, I could just do that all day.
Sounds like you have a lot of women stalkers. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. What is the Persian word that describes you the best?
The Persian word that describes me the best, mazlum. No, I'm kidding. That's not even. Not even. As there's pictures of me all over. I have like pictures of me of like every. Mazlum, by the way, for the people who don't know, means humble, and clearly that's not me. The Persian word that describes me the best would probably be bachiporu.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
It's much more true than Mazum. If you could have dinner with any one comedian, dead or alive, who would it be?
If I could have dinner with any comedian, honestly, it's actually a person who's also been very supportive of me. It would be Dave Chappelle. Honestly, Dave is not only one of my favorite people, he's just one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Every interaction I've ever had with him has always been on such a wonderful high level. There's nothing superficial about him. And so I love having conversations and debates with Dave. So that would be the person I would have dinner with. But if it's not Dave, the other comedian I would have dinner with is God. So either Dave Chappelle or God, because God is the funniest comedian in the entire universe.
Perfect answer. I love Dave Chappelle. I know you're a big TV and movie buff. What's a movie you can watch over and over again?
So I have too many movies to list. The movie that I tend to watch over and over again, Goodfellas, is always on the top of my list. So I can just watch Goodfellas over and over. I watch it as if it's the first time I've watched it every single time. And anyone who's ever watched movies with me, they know that when I watch a movie, you cannot speak, you cannot talk, you cannot ask questions. You get up to go to the bathroom, we're pausing everything. Like, you can't miss something. Like, if you are the I miss something, then you miss my friendship. We are not cool.
When you come to
Goodfellas.
When you come to Miami next, we're gonna watch Goodfellas together. One word to describe your comedic style. One word.
One word to describe my comedic style.
I've never left you speechless. This is a good moment. We can pause.
Yeah, to have one word to describe it, I would have to say the only way to describe it is Tehran. Like, the only word to describe my style is me.
Yes, I like that. I was gonna say real, but I take Tehran, which is equivalent to real. If you were a superhero, what would your power be?
I only have one power.
One power.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the story. This is a real story. When I was a kid, okay, one of the parents had like a handheld recorder. You know, they would film stuff, and the kids were playing superpowers, and I was always that kid who was just too much. So they were asking the kids, and one kid was like, "I'm Tornado Man. I can make tornadoes." And then another kid was like, "I'm Water Girl. I can shoot water." And then 5-year-old Tehran was, "I'm Tehran." And they were like, that's not a superpower name." I was like, "It is a superhero name. It just happens to be my name." And they're like, the parent was like, "Well, what's your power?" And I said, "I have all the powers of God, except not godlike responsibility." That was my answer as a 5-year-old. That was my 5-year-old answer. That I have the power of God, except not God's responsibility. So that's my power. That's my answer.
If you could live in any decade, which would you choose?
If I could live in any decade, would I know everything I know now?
Sure.
Okay, then I would go to 2 months before COVID. If I knew the thing, it's not even this is the best world we've ever lived in. No matter what's going on, we have the most access to information. We have the most freedoms. We have the most right. We have the most ability to connect with one another. We have the most ability to unite. We have the most ability. We choose not to, but we could. Right now, if I turn on the water, hot water comes out, right? If I walk down the street, I don't get polio. This is the best time to be alive, and we can make the world a better place. So I would live just 2 months before COVID, knowing everything I know now, because I would take it. I would buy all the Bitcoin. I'd buy all the GameStop. I'd buy Nvidia. Like, that's the only thing. But the best time to live in the world is right now, and we can make it a better tomorrow if we all choose to.
That's great. What's one thing you can't live without?
Candy. I cannot live without candy.
You and your dirty ass Skittles, man.
Yeah.
What's the best
Candy.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received.
Think of what Dave Chappelle told you.
I'm actually thinking of something that Maz Jobrani told me. Was practice makes perfect. Yeah, practice makes perfect. There are no shortcuts. Just practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's always stood in my mind. But something that's always been a part of me is the advice I give people, which is something where I explain, like right now, Iman, you're in a room. How far is the door to you, to the room that you're in?
5 feet.
So if you ran right now and left, how long would it take you to get to the door?
I mean, I'm fat, but 3 seconds.
3 seconds. If you walked there, how long would it take you?
I mean, I wasn't planning on driving.
Yeah.
It was going to be a walk. I don't.
Yeah, but if you ran, it takes you 3 seconds. If you walk, maybe
okay,
5
I'm
seconds.
sorry. Yeah. Like 5, 6 seconds. Yeah.
Sure. And if you crawled, it might take you 10 seconds. But if you sat where you were, looked at the door, and was always like, I want to get to that door, but never moved, how long would it take you? Forever. That's what most people do in their life, is they never get up. They never actually move in the direction of the thing that they say that they want. They never go towards that door because they're always afraid, well, what if I get to the door and the thing that I wanted isn't behind it? And guess what? You keep walking to the next door. That's how opening doors works. That's how greatness works. That's how success works. So I hope everybody gets up and starts walking towards their door.
Respect. We're almost done. What's your biggest pet peeve?
I have so many pet peeves. Actually, it's like the movie Avengers, okay? The Hulk, they asked, like, as Bruce Banner, he's always in control, and he had never been in control before, and they kept saying, what's your secret? What's your secret? And he goes, that is my secret. I'm always angry. That's my secret. I'm always annoyed. Like, everything is my pet peeve. Everything is my pet peeve. But my biggest pet peeve are people who don't want to understand. They don't want to understand. Another beautiful phrase that we have in Farsi is kisi ke khab hast mishe bidar kard. Like kisi ke khodesho mizane be khab hich vaqt bidar nemishe. And that means that someone who's asleep can be woken up, but someone who pretends to be asleep can never wake up. So there's a lot of people out there pretending to be asleep, and we all just need to wake up.
The last rapid fire. Favorite Iman and Tehran event of all time?
Our favorite event, and by the way, okay. Can I tell you, before I get to the favorite event, can I tell them about the favorite promotion? Iman and I decided to throw a party together, but we promoted it as if Iman is throwing a party the same day I'm throwing a party. And people didn't realize it's at the same place. They just didn't read the information. So Iman was throwing a party, I'm throwing a party, it was on the same day. And then on social media, on Facebook at the time, we got into a beef over throwing a party. I would be like, Iman's party is going to suck. Come to my party, it's going to be better. And then Iman would be like, Tehran's party is going to be trash. Come to my party, it's going to be better. It's the same party. And people would message us in our collective inbox and talk trash about the other person and not realizing it's the same event. It's the exact same event. Okay. So that's my favorite promotion. But our favorite event that we've ever done honestly was when we did the party at the Warner Theater that brought so many different people and so many different cultures to the same place. And we did a lot of events at the Warner Theater, but that very first one was special where everybody came, and it was the most beautiful place they'd ever even been to because no one had done an event on the Warner Theater rooftop, and no one has ever done one since.
Yeah, no, it was great. Even one of them, it rained, it poured, it made it even better.
It
And then
started
one time,
raining, and people stayed outside and started just enjoying it because it was present. They were listening. Iman always had the best DJs lineups, and they were just having so much fun that they couldn't stop. They just let the rain happen. Like, think about Persian girls being outside with their hair, black girls being outside and their hair just getting wet and still having a good time. Just people getting soaked and still having fun. And shout out to my boy George Huri, who was a part of that event, and all the people that came through and were a part of that event, and of course Angela for helping us make that event happen. So
it was a true international affair. All different backgrounds coming together, dancing to all type of music. The energy was right, the vibe was right. On a closing note, what I'm trying to do as a signature end to every Awesome People episode is asking all of our Iranian guests, what are you most proud of as an Iranian?
it's something that I always say. I am very proud of, as much as I am against what the Islamic Republic as a government is doing. Even if I'm against the government of Iran, I'm always very proud of the people of Iran. All the different backgrounds, the different ethnicities, the different cultures, all in one place that make up Iran. It's the strength of Iran, whether it's the Persians or the Lurs or the Baluchis or the Kurdish people or the Armenian people, all the different religions, whether it's Muslim or Jewish or Baha'i or Zoroastrian, Zarathushtri, and the Christians, all the people in Iran that come together and make Iran. That's what I'm the most proud of. And the culture of Iran, the real culture, the idea of goftarinik, pendarinik, kerdarinik, the idea of good thoughts, good words, good deeds. That's something that, yes, it's religiously Zoroastrian, but truthfully, it's in the characteristic and heart of all Iranians. And that'll always make me proud.
I love it, man. Beautiful answer. An incredible episode with you. I really am glad that I made this decision to restart Awesome People with somebody like you. You are truly an awesome Iranian brother. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to see you continue to grow as a comedian, not just in the Iranian community, but globally. You deserve everything good that comes to you. I can't wait to have you in Miami very soon. We were briefly talking about it. We are going to make it happen. South Florida, you're in a treat. And also, we're going to do something hopefully in DC as well. Tehran, man, much love to you, man. Be well, and see you soon.
Thank you, Iman Jun. Tehran. I gotta let the hair is growing, bro.
Hell
Look,
yeah.
it's
Hell
it's
yeah.
too much hair. I gotta let it out,
Hey, you look at Jamaica now, all of a sudden.
Yo,
Hey, Jamaica me crazy, dude. Jamaica me
yo, that's
crazy.
how it works. Yo, I appreciate it.
Much
We've had
love,
some
man.
good times, Iman. Please, everybody who's here, support Iman and what he does. He's went from DC to South Florida, and he's putting on a lot of great events in the South Florida area. So make sure to support him and show him love, because a lot of people do it for money. He's doing it out of love. As far as I know, I feel like you lose, except for working with me, you lose money on every event you do.
That is true. That's why we need to work together more often, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yo, I
But
appreciate it. Thank you.
hey, man, much love, man. Good night, brother. Take care. Ciao. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tehran. So powerful as Tehran Ghasri, Tehran Von Ghasri. Let's just go by Tehran. He's the man. Appreciate him very much. And I hope that in case you did not know Tehran, which is highly unlikely, that you follow him and continue to support him in his comedic journey. I want to thank everybody who perhaps is new to me and the Awesome People podcast. It's all run by Unite and Conquer. That's the main organization that is intended to unite Iranians via impactful conversations and a lot of great digital content. And I want to thank my co-producers of this program, Barta, Orchid, Daria, Negin, Rana, and Ida for helping make this all happen. Join us again next Friday for another episode of Awesome People on September 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Hiva Bandian. Hiva is a content creator who helps women cook, look, and feel the best versions of themselves. She develops healthy vegan recipes designed to support your gut health and your nervous system. She has a weekly podcast, Blush, where she gets deep in self-improvement, and she hosts a Blush Academy, a digital school with courses on gut health, nervous system regulation, mindset, confidence, and more. I hope you join us next Friday, September 27th. And if you have a recommendation of an awesome Iranian, feel free to drop me their Instagram page and let me know why you think they're awesome Iranian. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Wishing you guys a wonderful evening.